Keep living the adventure. Axis of Awesome. What's up, adventurers? Welcome to another live stream. It has been a long time since I've done one of these. I would love to do more, but time is an issue for me. But I booked a special guest tonight, somebody who I haven't talked to for a whole year, and I think this is going to be an awesome live stream. So tonight, without further ado, let's welcome our guest, Felipe from Loucotoys, formerly Loucotoys, and he's here to talk about his dope new action figure, Mechanus.
Hey,
what's up, buddy?
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
How's it going,
so
man?
Happy.
So what's been going on? The last time we talked, you had we talked about all your customs. You were doing thinking about doing the Big Joe figure. You were kind of regrouping from getting out of the Loucotoys like jumpsuit game. I think you were doing that. Were you doing that with Sydney from Grunga Toys, or did you just turn that over to him? I can't remember what that was.
Oh yeah, I just pass it over to him.
Yep.
And all the patterns, the workers, and all my knowledge, all my fabrics. And I was kind of exhausted, and I was not getting where I wanted, because I've always seen myself as a creative guy, not a production guy, because I get anxious. You know, to me, it's very hard to keep producing the same thing over and over again. It's tiresome. I just lose interest. So I like to create. I have dozens of prototypes lying around here, and that's why I reached out to Sydney again and told him, listen, we should do something together. And I have a guy here that will work great for it, and that's why Mechanus came from.
Great. Well, before we get started, let's go ahead and talk about Mechanus. You've had a really, really substantial social media blitz with that figure over the last, probably, I would say, week or so, and even
Yes.
leading up to it, you had some kind of secret shots of it on. I believe I saw it on Instagram and Facebook, but you've really pushed this figure hard. So I'll just let you tell us all about Mechanus. Everybody out there watching.
Well, Mechanus is he started in the first time I tried to mess with Torque was in 2003, and it started with this guy.
Oh wow!
You know, this is not Mechanus. This is a forearm Torque, but it was my first attempt to change the status quo. You know, and I created what Sydney called the parasite Torque. You know, and I call it the virus Torque. So I gave Torques this ability to infect anything from machines to people and replicate. And this guy here, his forearms, you know, as you can see in this disgusting infection going on his body. And this was the first time, because the main thing here is that I believe the market needs new characters. You know, it's here in Brazil we have Torque, and there's no other villain. In 44 years, there was no other villain. And Torque is as great as it is, it suffered a lot of loss on his coolness, you know, because when it was first released, 1980, it was really cool. 1994, it was a low quality copy of Destro. And 1999, it was just a cheap knockoff of whatever it used to be. And this whole time, Falcon was without another villain, without, and here in Brazil, we don't have stories. They tried to make a comic book, which did not work. It was around 2019, I guess, called Falcon Primus, and it did not work. And that's when I started to messing around. I was obsessed with the Torque head and how many different characters I could make using the same principles. And it's not like just replicating stuff, but associated with it, you know, adjacent. Like you have the Cobra Commander helmet, and then you have the Cobra soldiers, and they are similar, but they are not the same. They're a different character, and that's what I wanted. And then I started to experimenting on. This is the very first time. This is the very first time that Mechanus is on streaming.
Wow.
So I kind of use half of a thorax head.
Uh-huh.
You know, the red part is thorax, but I made a completely new base for
Did
it.
you sculpt all that, or did you like combine Torix head and then other parts? I know you've done that with other figures.
I combined with other parts and I
Nice.
sculpt, and it was a very I did it in 2017, I guess. I started, and in the first
Wow.
thing, yeah, it's a long time. And and but the problem here in Brazil is that people are really obsessed with Estrela and Falcon, and they don't welcome customs and different things.
Really?
Yeah, they our market, I would say, it's not mature enough to enjoy and to understand that you need this sort of creativity going on. Uh,
It
to
pushes the hobby, right? I think it pushes the hobby forward. People who do customs and do all that
precisely
stuff.
precisely and pushes the companies as well, because
Yeah.
they started to see that, man, if we don't move, we are gonna lose it, you
Huh.
know.
So
And
let me ask you about
mm,
Mechanus first. I guess before we get into the details of the figure. So you said you started creating the head in 2017. I know you're a graphic artist. Am I correct?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep. So did you have like a sketch up of this guy, like several different sketch ups of it to kind of come up with that really cool, because he has a really cool, unique look.
Yes.
Like it's a very like the head to me has a little bit of a Jack Kirby vibe. I mean, I get like the really nice, beautiful angles. You know, it
Hmm.
like pops a lot. I know we got some people in the chat here. Adam from G.I. Joe: The Lost Chronicles says it looks a little like
Wow.
Judge Dredd, which is true with that mouth exposed. But how did you like? What was the concept? How did you come up with that?
Well, I don't draw really well, but I can mix things, and whatever I can't do, I find a way to make it happen. But with Mechanus, I had this idea on my mind. I had a very clear picture, you know, and and instantly I knew it would be a bad guy, and because it could be a renegade or anti-hero, whatever. No, it's a bad guy. It was very clear to me. And the whole, sometimes I start sculpting and I don't know where I'm going to get, what's going to come out of it. I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't work. But this time I had the mental picture very clear on my head, very clear. and it came everything together with the suit, with the bracelets, and how I should make it. It was very different, and I started to go after that vision. And one thing that I remember, that when I first thought of Mechanus, I remember that Marvel Daredevil black and red suit,
Hmm.
and I think, wow, a villain with that sort of helmet and adapted to Torah and stuff, and that's where it came from. If it was red and black Daredevil.
Cool. We got some guys in the chat, Felipe. We'll probably be taking questions as we go through this, but let's go ahead and figure out who's all in
Excellent.
tonight. We got Bjorn Jorgensen, who's on Instagram. He's a really cool dude. He does some really cool Instagram stuff. Action Team Joe, who does a lot of really good 3D printed stuff. G.I. Joe Lost Chronicles, my buddy Adam. We collaborated on a lot of photo stories. We've got Andy from Indy, another super cool dude. And then Tar Productions, who does, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he does some of the coolest stop motion stuff on YouTube. But that's who we've got in the chats right now. Hopefully we get some more guys in here as we move forward on this Wednesday night. But man, so tell us all about Mechanus. I want to know, what's the backstory? Who is this guy?
Okay. This is really fun because I wanted to do something. I write for myself. Someday it may become a comic book. I don't know, but I like to write for myself. That's how I create. That's how I organize things. And then I was thinking about Estrella's trajectory. Like 1984, Falcon line was canceled, and we never heard about it again. And then 1994, it came back, but it came back differently. And then 1999, it was crappy and whatever. But what if I could write something that would go aligned with that, like a dramatic explanation, a dramatic sum of events that would, how can I say, that would make what happened with Estrella into a story, into an adventure. And that's why on my fantasy, I wrote that after Condor and Torek fought in 1982, I guess, the Torek's body was destroyed. Torek's body was done. But inside the helmet, there was the virus Torek. And when the Falcons took the Torek parts to examine to their laboratory headquarters, the head infected one of the scientists, and he ran away, and he blew up the whole compound, and he ran away. And then
Oh shit!
He ran away with that Torek head, just taking over its body and turning it into some kind of zombie, in a cybernetic zombie. But the human body is not enough to recreate all Torek's features. They need specific items. They need technology. They need transistors. Torek needs, So he went into hiding and took a lot of years. And he went after 89. It was 1984. After 89, the Soviet Union collapsed.
Right.
And there was a lot of military installations and laboratories. So he hidden there and starting to rebuild. But at the same time, he was too weak to draw any attention to himself. So he had to do under the cover. And he hires this very dangerous assassin called Vladimir Pulya.
I love the Russian.
Bullet, another Russian, because he's there,
Yeah.
He's there. And Russians are great assassins, they have a tradition for it. And with the technology he has available, he builds the suit to Vladimir, and Vladimir become Mechanus. and that's the origin story. What Vladimir doesn't know is that within time he will be totally dependent of this armor.
Ah, okay. Okay, I see. All right.
He will not be able to stand up for to Torek. He will not be able to disobey because he will need it working, and Torek will have the end of it eventually is Torek using him as a drone.
Ah,
And
okay. I see. Toric 2.0, I guess we'll call him, or you call him Virus Toric. He created the Mechanus armor for the Russian hitman, and then as he uses it, that armor basically becomes almost like symbiotic. Am I correct?
yes, yes,
Yep. So that's his origin story. That's cool.
that's his origin story. That's right.
So does the armor give him like superpowers, like super speed, super strength? Does it like enhance his already? I mean, because the guy's obviously, if he's Russian, we already know the guy's in tip-top shape. He's probably already on all the Russian supplements, right? All the steroid, all the
Oh,
steroids.
definitely. You know, I wrote a large piece. I guess like 5 pages, just telling his origin, and
I love it.
and and since he was a kid, and his father was a KGB agent that lived in Moscow, and he was commanded to administrate the most horrible prison in Siberia, and Vladimir was like 5 years old, and he had to go to Siberia, and he lost his mother, and he was there with his father in the prison, spending
Wow.
the whole day and watching criminals. And by the age of 18, he was a perfect fighter for the most cruel arts ever.
Yeah.
And he was in when the criminals in the prison, they broke out and they killed his father, he managed to kill everyone. You know, Vladimir killed everyone.
Everybody.
Yes, sorry. Everybody.
He just killed everybody.
And he killed everybody. And when the KGB arrived, and they noticed it, that this guy was different, because it's not only about being a very skillful warrior, but it's about having the psychological self-permission to inflict the most damage without feeling any remorse. You know, he doesn't see people; he sees targets. And
That's
he
it.
became, and KGB gave him this code name Bullet, and no one escapes him. So he was already brilliant at killing before becoming Mechanus. And then what this armor does, I didn't want it to create like crazy superpowers,
Uh-huh.
you know, like over the top superpowers. But I can tell you that even the best Falcon or the best GI Joe cannot fight him mano a mano.
Hand to hand. There's no hand to
Yeah,
hand.
there's no hand to hand there. You know, you need like three top shaped GI Joes, three top shaped Falcons. You know, he's stronger than a real person, than a regular person, and he's faster. And with the helmet, he sees and hears in different ways, like a sonar. So he sees in the dark. And if he was already a great sniper, now he can, you know, shoot a flea in a mile away. You
That's
know,
awesome.
it's crazy.
Do you want to show the figure tonight? You want to give us
Yes.
let's go through and show this to everybody.
Okay.
So this is let me blow you up here so you can.
Okay.
There we go.
The first prototype, it has a paper, a sort of paper leather vest, just to give the idea, and I try to work some textures. And then when I sent it to Sydney, I told him, what do you think if you could create a 3D printable armor that everyone would assemble and make this excellent
Oh wow.
figure.
I like the back.
Yeah.
The back is really cool. Um, so is that the 3D printed armor, or is that your prototype armor that you already created?
That's the 3D printed armor.
And this here,
And
am I correct? This is is that one of the Falcon standard guns that would come with the Falcon soldiers back in the 90s?
this I guess this is a GI Joe gun.
Okay.
I picked up so many things that I don't know where they come
That's a
from.
nice looking gun.
It's really good. It's really good.
Wow.
And this is my gun, and Sydney already made the mold, and it will be darker and with this painting, the silver, uh, the silver damage, like
Uh-huh.
it's peeling and stuff. So the armor will look like the rest of the gun will look just like the rest of the armor.
So it'll have almost like a, not quite metallic, but you know what I'm saying. It'll be almost it'll
Yeah.
look more like a gun. Is that a is that gun is that a 3D printed gun, or is that actually just one you had?
No, this is the one I had.
Okay.
This is the
It
one I
almost
had.
it looks almost like it was one of those resin 3D printed guns. It looks cool.
Yeah, it's really great, and it comes with this knife.
Oh wow. So is the knife, did you make the knife, or is the knife
Knife is Sydney's as well.
oh wow.
I created the bracelets and the boots,
Those are great.
and I designed it. I created the head, and I designed it the first vest, and then Sydney just made this amazing vest. You have no idea. And the figure, man, the figure is so cool to make poses, and you really, I really feel like a child playing because it's a lot of fun.
Sydney's so talented. You guys are both super talented, you know. You guys, yeah, he comes up with some cool stuff. All your Super
Sydney,
Joe suits were great back in the day too. I mean, I own several of them, so
oh, that's great. Sydney, I'm very glad because Sydney was my first choice,
yeah,
and it worked. It worked, and he's very talented, and he deserves all the support he can get
yeah,
because he's a warrior. He's a warrior. Recently, he had a problem on his back,
uh huh.
a year ago, I guess, and he could not even move one of his arms. And
Oh,
somehow, I don't know how, but somehow he manages to paint and do amazing sculpture, and it's crazy. It's supernatural. He's a warrior. He's a trooper.
so on your figure, Mechanus, is it when you enter into the production stage of it, right? Is it going to be like Sydney's other sets? You know, Sydney will do like a head, gear, clothing that then you can put the head on like a Guyper Man body or a muscle body of some kind, or like one of the Cotswold
Yes,
super
yes.
weak guy bodies. Was that how it's going to be done?
Oh, it will come. I already designed the art for the box, and
Okay.
it's really good.
Oh wow.
And yeah, it will come complete in the
Oh
box.
cool.
The box will be large, so you will be able to put your figure inside and to keep it dust free if you want, or you
Oh
can
wow.
you can display it alongside the figure, and it will come the black jumpsuit, full armor, gun, knife, boots, with this lower part here,
Uh huh.
and the bracelets and the head, all painted, all ready to assemble, and which will be compatible with Guyperman, Falcon, and Cotswold bodies.
Wow, that's going to be great, man. So
Yeah,
what's the number going to be on it? How many are you going to make? Have you got a number you're going to go with yet?
yeah. We are going to make 75.
75. Wow,
Yeah,
that's great.
to make it really, really sought after and rare and collectible.
Uh-huh.
And we are not going to make uh, any more with this color. I already talked to Sydney, and we have two designs we are playing with for the next 75. We are going to choose. So it will come in a different color, different suit. Some it will not be the same, and the accessories will not be the same.
Wow. So
Yeah.
is he going to cast the gun for you as well? And he's going to
Yes. Yes.
reproduce the gun? Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It will come complete with the gun, everything, everything.
Wow.
All
Wow.
you need is a figure.
Wow. That is exciting stuff right there.
Yeah.
So, what's the ETA? What's the estimate of time of completion? I know like this stuff takes time when you're putting together this kind of stuff. So, are you looking for like a late 25 release or sooner than that?
Oh, sooner, sooner.
Sooner?
Yeah, yeah. We
Wow.
are in pre-sales now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we are
Cool. I
pre-sales
saw. Yeah,
now.
I did see that. I did see that on Instagram. Yeah, correct. I did see that.
Yeah, if you check my Instagram, if you check the bio,
Uh,
there's the Portuguese link and there's the English link.
okay. At the end of this live stream, I'll go back and re-edit, and I will link up the pre-order for that figure to the description in this live stream, guys. All you guys out there,
Well,
so you'll be able to click that and go to it and check that out because that's a cool looking figure. It's a great villain.
It's a great villain, and at least you guys in the United States, I think you have over 100 GI Joe villains, so
or more. I create my own villains with a lot of the guys out in the chat. We all create our own villains. I mean,
yeah,
we don't stick to the normal cookie cutter guys. So we all create our own villains.
But here in Brazil, we don't have it.
No, I mean Torak's the only one, right? You said Torak's the only villain ever.
Torak he had 3 looks. He had the classic, the Destro knockoff, and there's this guy that's not even called a Torak. It's called the Enemy. It came out in 1990 with a full black suit and a green head.
Wow.
And that was it. It's the Enemy. Just to make it easy for the kids. This is the good and this is the bad. And now go play.
What was the original backstory of Torak?
There is no backstory.
There's none. So you had to just
backstory.
create it. You, as a kid, he was just a villain, and you guys used your imagination to create a villain. That's cool. I like the blank slate of that.
I like the it's kind of, it's good in one way and bad in another way. Because to me, when I want to create stuff, sometimes I write, so I know what I want to do. I know what character I need, and I see that Estrella, they have nothing. They just do the figures in a random order. There is no evolution. You make the classic 1964 soldier, and then a futuristic fighter, starfighter, and then you make Torak, and then you make another soldier. Like your Sea Adventurer. So, but how does the Sea Adventurer matches with Torak?
Yeah, there's really
there's no connection.
There's no connection except unless you make one, right? I mean,
you have to make one, but I mean, Torak has a laser beam that fires from his chest. How can a Sea Adventurer fight that?
He can't actually.
What are you going to do? You're going to punch?
Yeah, you could dive in the water.
So I think
the best.
I think it's very important to create a backstory. All we know about Torak is that he has a secret laboratory inside a cave, and he has this robot helpers, and that's it. We don't know why he does what he does. We don't know his goal. We don't know where he comes from. We don't know anything. Of course, it's fun when you are 6 years old,
right?
Or 8 when I was presented to Torak. It was fun because I had a huge imagination. But now I think we as adults that buy toys, I think we need a little bit more.
Yeah, once you go through life and all life's experiences, you want your villains to have a little bit of zestiness to them, right? You want some guys who've been through some shit, so
Yeah,
they can match up well. Yeah, I know because I with my photo stories that I always create, I always try to have not always a villain, but I always try to have some type of villainous activity going on, and that's important to the story because it drives stories, right? If you're just going
perfect.
out to hunt for a mummy and you're just going to chop through the jungle and find a mummy, I mean that's fun to do, but there has to be some shit along the way. There needs to be a giant snake, or there needs to be a zombie or something. Um, and yeah, I think villains of any kind of nature are extremely important, especially in our hobby right now.
Definitely, definitely. I think the 12-inch market is some sort of losing steam.
Yeah,
You have the hot toys, but hot toys, although it's cool, although it's very cool, it's very expensive, and it doesn't have anything to do with creativity
no, it's
because
all
they
cookie
they
cutter.
yeah, they just get this flashy properties. The Spider-Man. Oh, I'm making 20 Spider-Man with different suits and stuff. But
Yeah,
that's not about that. That's not fun.
yeah, all those types of things I think become shelf queens, right? People buy them to
Yes.
like have them and put them on their shelves. On Paul Knapp's live stream several months ago, he had Daryl DePriest, I think, on there, and he was talking about the 12-inch market. And basically, the people he said that are driving the market are the customizers. We're the ones keeping it alive, and we're the ones that are creating and doing all this stuff, whether through, you know, 3D printed vendors like Jim Etsy or Jim Egner or Everett Etsy or Sean Huckster. You've got Cotswold who carries a lot of this stuff and distributes a lot of it, but a lot of it's really driven by just grassroots guys, um, like myself, like Adam at GI Joe Lost Chronicles, Tar Productions, um, Newbie Modder, a lot of these guys on YouTube who buy it and who create stuff to put on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. And you've got our 1/6 scale groups drive the hobby a lot too. But I think, yeah, we're the only ones still doing it. So it's
Yeah.
fun though. It's fun because there's still like a really, really intense level of creativity amongst everybody that you're not going to find in a lot of other scales. You're starting to
Yes.
see it more, I think, in some of the smaller scales. People are starting to kit bash more and create things. But
Yeah, the new superpowers format. The five
yep,
inches
yep,
figures.
yep. But I think it's great. I think guys like you that are out there, you're like kind of like the canary in the coal mine, man. You're creating new stuff, which a lot of people aren't creating new stuff. I know that Cotswold does villains. They do some villains, but you got that. I think Mechanus is a really cool concept, and that you and Sydney have partnered together is going to be pretty important. I mean, what's the reception in Brazil so far for it?
So far, people are mostly liking,
Uh huh.
but they're not obsessed with it. They
Right.
are intrigued,
Mhm.
but they're trying to understand the idea of someone outside the factory doing something that it doesn't exist so far.
Okay.
So we kind of we face this problem or this dilemma. People are if it came from Australia, people would be more receptive.
Uh
You
huh.
know, nowadays we have some people, we have some YouTube channels that people doesn't do anything at all. They just don't do anything, but they complain about everything other people are doing. You know, so
that's the whole world right now. Shit. Yeah. No kidding. I know you have right now. There's some really talented guys in Brazil doing a lot of stuff. There's obviously you, Sydney Loucotoys, Bellamina Toys.
Oh yeah, I know him.
Yeah, he's done some really cool figures. And then you've got Easy 1/6, the 3D printed
Oh
customizer.
yeah,
Yeah,
Carlo.
Carlos. Yeah, Carlos is great. You guys have got a really, really talented group of individuals in Brazil right now that are really creating some cool stuff. And it's the hard part about it is you guys are in Brazil and we're here. And I've bought stuff. Obviously, I've bought stuff off you. I've bought stuff off Sydney through Cotswold. I did buy Bellamina's toy figure a year or two ago. I got his Dr. Isotope figure.
Oh yeah, I saw your review.
Yeah, very beautiful figure. And then I've obviously partnered with Carlo and did some heads. So I think it's really important that you guys are doing this stuff because, like I said, there's not a lot of really new stuff for us. I mean,
yeah, that's really sad, and I think that's what's not bringing a lot of kids because we are aging.
oh yeah,
Although we don't want to accept it. I'm
yep,
51. We are
yeah,
aging,
yeah,
so we need kids because kids will give us the volume sales to make even cooler stuff. So we need to make more. It's funny what I'm saying, but we need to make more child oriented toys. In
yeah,
the 12-inch format.
yeah,
So I'm the kind of person that I dream of this stuff. I would love to make the comic books, tell all the stories. I would love to. I have like dozens of prototypes here that could be more villains or more Condor. Condor from Falcon line.
yeah,
The red guy with
yep,
yeah.
yep.
I have a lot of Condor buddies here, and I would like to make the comic books. I would like to make the audio books. Of course, I would find an American actor to make the American audio
Well,
book.
I don't know if you're doing a Falcon, we gotta have the accent,
Oh
So
yeah, I
he's
could do that.
Brazilian.
I
Yeah, we
could do
prefer to
that.
have the accent. So do you have other villains or other characters, that you're thinking of the future? Like, you talked about being creative and all these ideas. I'm right there with you. I mean, I spend most days writing scripts for stories that I want to do photo stories of and having to create characters for. So is that what's going on right now? Do you have other stuff that you've got churning?
Yes, I
Yeah.
have more buddies, but they're all more expensive projects. This
Yeah.
was I guess the most affordable project we could test waters with,
Hmm.
because other projects involved like my Big Joe making the whole body,
Right. Right.
right? And but I have a guy. I won't say anything because I don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
And I just don't want to give it away because I dream to making this guy, and I think it would be awesome. But it's a mixture of Condor and Toric.
Oh wow.
It's a mashup,
Oh wow.
and why it happened and how it happened is totally logic. It agrees with the story, and this guy will be a wild card. He's not a villain, and he's not a hero. He will side with whoever fits his interests. So it will be like instead of living in a polarized environment, this will be a three factions environment. So you have this wild card that sometimes he will side with Twerk, sometimes he will side with Falcon, sometimes he will attack both.
Yeah, it reminds me of a character. I don't know. Did you ever collect Masters of the Universe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think the original backstory of Zodak.
Oh yeah, I
I
know, I know.
think he was almost like that. He was like they didn't know whether he was a good guy or a bad guy. He was like a mysterious dude from outer space. I think that was kind of. I might be misremembering that. I might have a Mandela effect over that, but I kind of think that's how it was. I don't know. Who knows? I'm getting older, so but I think that's kind of how Zodak
It
was.
happens.
Yeah, I think that's great, man. I'm with you. I love it. I love the creativity. I love that figure. It's really really cool, and I like the fact that you're kind of trailblazing for the Falcon line because I didn't realize. I guess I wasn't real familiar with Falcon. I knew about Falcon, and then when Estrella started redoing the sets, and then Cotswold would carry him, I got real familiar with it, and then I kind of did a little research on the history of that. And yeah, I always wondered who Torak was. He's a cool looking character,
Yeah.
And it's cool that you're kind of like evolving the lore of Falcon in a way. I guess is that how I guess you describe it? Kind of, you're just kind of like evolving the character.
Yes. One of the huge problems to my taste is that there is no connection with what happened in 1984 and what's going on now. So
Yeah.
it's like two completely different collections because Estrella did not pick it up where it left. In now in Brazil, you asked about reception. People are more into military than fantasy and adventure. As crazy as it sounds, because there's a limit of how many camo suits you're gonna have on your collection. There's a limit to it. There's some, especially because all the figures have the same face. We don't even have the African version here. We have the Caucasian head made in brown.
Yeah, I guess you don't have any African features like you would see on the figures here in the States.
No.
That's fascinating about the military aspect of the Falcon line, because you guys, I mean, Brazil is a country, right? You have the Amazon, you've got ruins from, what is it? Was it the Inca?
Oh, it's in Peru. It's
Peru.
Close.
Okay,
it's
Peru.
Close, but
okay.
It's in Peru.
Yeah, so you have all that lost history in South America, and it's fascinating to me how that wouldn't be more important than the military aspects, because of how big your country is, how big South America is in itself.
Yes.
And everything there is to explore that's not even been found yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're still doing like LiDAR mapping and finding cities that are just vast to this day.
Yes.
I
Precisely.
mean, and it's just wild, how, because that's kind of like the foundation, I think, of my adventure team is kind of exploration and, not really a lot of military stuff, a little bit, but I'm more of an adventure type person. That's kind of why I loved the adventure team as a kid. I know a lot of people gravitate towards the 1982 Real American Hero, Cobra versus G.I. Joe line, but I'm just like, I've seen enough warfare in the world with senseless wars over and over and over again, where I'm more in my life right now, I'm more about lost history, exploration, finding out truth, and that's kind of where I center my adventure team towards.
Me too. I'm definitely there. And I think, to my head, Torek is not from this world. Torek is the first line of invasion from other planet. Torek is a drone, and that's what I would like to write forward, to this day and beyond. Because if we are having this hard time to fight Torek, he is the smallest fighter, the
like
easiest,
the tip of the pyramid, or the tip of the iceberg. Top of the iceberg. He's not the last fighter in the video game,
No, he's the first. He's the first. And when he's the race that came up with Torek comes, then we will have our enemy. And
Yeah.
especially today, doing military stuff, the world has changed. Like 1964, there was this post World War II and communism, and we used not to see the people. We see an ideology that was against us.
Yeah.
So it was easy. Oh, let's be military and fight communism. Today, the world got smaller, and we see faces, we see
Hmm.
people, we see children,
Yeah.
and we cannot rage war against that.
Yeah. That's been my biggest knock against Hasbro. I mean, Hasbro's easy to shit on for a lot of reasons, but my biggest knock against Hasbro is the corporatization of all their brands and the lack of progressive advancement of the GI Joe line. I
Mhm.
mean, it would be like, you had 1964 to 1970 was a military centered GI Joe. Then it became the adventure team due to all the anti-war sentiment, and then they kind of started to spin off into sci-fi with the Super Joe Adventure Team, then Super Joe, which kind of failed, and then they died. And then the 80s hit. We've got the height of the Cold War. Real American Hero comes out of nowhere. Terrorism starts to become, you know, a really big buzzword, around the world. Fundamentalist Islamic terrorists bombing
Yes.
the bombing of the embassy in Beirut, and terrorism becomes a new villain. So GI Joe emerges to fight terrorists. But that's fine. But they have milked that cow dry from 82 to now. It's
Totally
time.
agree.
It's time for somebody to have a new creativity and a new GI Joe for a new generation of kids. And it breaks my heart to see these. And this is just my opinion. I have nothing against the people that run GI Joe who do the live streams and stuff, or the creative designers, but they're all basically corporate puppets, in my opinion. They're
Mm.
just on there. They're just not creating anything new, and they're just giving us the same old shit. There's no new GI Joe.
Yes,
Like
yes.
like I can't I'm down showing my 6-year-old GI Joe from 1972, and he has no idea who that is or what it does. He just knows that I go out and I take pictures with monsters and go exploring and do that kind of stuff. But he has no clue what GI Joe is. There's no GI Joe for him. And I had a GI Joe.
That's
You had
sad.
a Falcon.
Yeah.
The majority of these guys in the chat had a GI Joe. It was kind of like growing up, for you and Falcon in like 1980 to 84. You had Falcon. We had GI Joe as kids. It was ingrained in us. Like most boys in America grew up with GI Joe. Now that's just not
Yes.
the case anymore. I just see it I just see what Hasbro's doing now as a money grab.
Yes. I think because I live in all different worlds. I live in the world of creativity, and sometimes I have an idea that I can't make. Like Big Joe.
Yeah, right.
I can't make it, and it makes me sad, and it's revolting sometimes,
Hmm.
because I know it would be a hit, and it would be different. It would breathe life into the 12-inch niche. But I live in the creativity, but I also, because of Sydney, I live in the cost world.
Right. Yeah.
So when you have shareholders and you have people breathing on you on the back of your neck all day long, you have to come up with some money grabbers. And
Yep.
and I think this new GI Joe collection, which is the same size of the Black Series Star
Hmm.
Wars, they're beautiful.
Yeah, they
They
are.
are they are beautiful. However, nothing new. If I was the creative head of Hasbro, perhaps I would be loved, perhaps I would be hated. Um, I would not make any adventures in the present, because the present is complicated. We are living in a time where it's very clear that we should not kill each other. It's very
Yeah,
clear. We should
100%.
We should
Yeah.
not do that. This is not adventure. This is not being a hero.
Right.
Because even if you invade a country filled with terrorists, some innocents will die along the way.
100%.
And you cannot see Flint and Duke killing many people, like
Yeah.
like innocent people. But so I would keep the adventure team in the 80s where they belong, and I will explore Peru, and I would find that these pyramids are from space,
Yeah.
and there is a portal to Mars, whatever. And I would jump to the future, to 2075, 2075, and where GI Joe or Falcon are fighting for the independence of Venus, whatever,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we have different suits, and it's adventure, because our present times, and this demands another Earth. That it's not our Earth, it's another Earth, like it's Superman's Earth. And I think this way it would work. Whenever you try to bring armed superheroes to the present, you bump in more wishes, and it kinds of it kills the fantasy.
Yeah. That's kind of what's going on, I think, in like a lot of the toy community. There's a lot of really good, like I call them boutique toy companies, excuse me, because they're not mass producing a lot of toys, but I see a lot of creativity, not from Hasbro, from like other manufacturers. Like I think there's a company called Fresh Monkey Fiction, and they make this line of 6-inch action figures called Monster Force. And
Yeah.
and it's really, really cool. And I don't collect it because I collect too much other stuff, and I got to budget what I collect. But I think it's a really fantastic line of figures, and I just love looking at them. Like when people take like there's a guy, Ed from Action Figures, here in the chat, who always posts figure photography. We go way back as far as GI Joe goes, but he always posts these really nice, clean pictures with all of his figures, and he has a lot of those boutique figures that are really cool looking. So there are companies doing cool things, but man, GI Joe is the flagship of boys toys, and it's just it's hard for me to watch to see what it's become. But I mean, that's just the way it is, and things. When I heard, I don't know what everybody thinks of Elon Musk. I think he's an outlaw, and I love it. But I love his outlaw mentality. But when he was talking about buying Hasbro, I was just like, yeah, I would love
He
to see
talked
him
about
buy.
that.
Yeah, he did.
He would.
He talked about buying Hasbro.
Wow.
I don't know if he would, but I would just be fascinated to see him buy Hasbro and just kind of flip it on its head, because he has SpaceX, and
Yes.
and he has that, and we've had so many things happen in the last 20 years that GI Joe should have produced a special set for, like when Felix Baumgartner jumped out of a space capsule and did like a space dive. We should have had a GI Joe set commemorating that.
I think.
Yeah, but
GI Joe is it's more than a toy. It's an institution.
It is,
and I think that the Hasbro should have this contemplated somehow. This special editions, and at the same time try to bring kids back.
Yeah.
I think they never tried to make an actual version of the classic GI Joe head.
Yeah, even with their 6-inch figures, they produced this 60th anniversary group of figures, and they paid zero homage to the 1964 figure, and it just shows you how like out of touch they are with everything,
Yes. Yes.
And there is a, I don't know, amongst the GI Joe community, there's a kind of a, I don't want to say a rift between all the different genres, but the 82 guys, they seem to be they're the most vicious when it comes to things. I mean, they fucking fight with each other about stupid shit all the time. I see their videos on YouTube and I'm thinking to myself, you guys are grown ass men fighting over somebody made a comment about you on something and you're acting like a bunch of children.
It happens in Brazil too,
It's stupid.
It happens in Brazil too. Oh, you are playing wrong. I know. No, it's so crazy. Like the discussions, like you are playing wrong.
Yeah.
You are not supposed to like. Estrella recently released a figure that was, I think, it was the most hated ever since the 2017 comeback, which was the radioactive attack.
Was that the one with the coveralls and the mask?
And no, it's with a mohawk here, a blonde guy.
Oh yeah, I did see that guy.
A blonde guy with a mohawk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was one of the few that defended the figure, and I said it's an excellent idea. It's a beautiful idea, done wrong.
Yeah.
Because they mixed the flocking hair with Barbie hair to make the mohawk, and it got really weird. But the idea, the inspiration was perfect.
Yeah.
But the execution was poor.
Well, the best part about figures like that is they become kit bash, fodder. You can take those figures and you can create something better than what you would have got with the actual figure, which is what I do with a lot of stuff,
Oh yeah. We have Irineu Galo, which is IG16K. It's a complicated name, but he got this figure and he make really cool accessories.
Really?
And very coherent, like very accurate.
Okay.
And also what I told people, because we made a live about that, is that this figure is completely agreeing with what Estrella did in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Because they simply got the guy with a pink suit and said, "Oh, this is the radioactive protection," and it was it was a sweatpants and a pink raincoat.
Man!
And it's very sought after here now because it's vintage. But people would not like it if Estrella did something just like that guy nowadays.
I will tell you something I've recently latched onto, and I kind of wish I wouldn't have, because when I find something I like, I become kind of obsessed with it. So it becomes a problem after a while. But I have recently, and I'll share it. I've recently went down the Takara Combat Joe.
Oh,
so I'm gonna show this real quick. We'll do a close up of this. So this is a Combat Joe that I got from Japan, and I flocked him.
Oh yeah, I would like to get my hands on a head like that to make an eagle eyes.
Well, let me know, because I have a few extras, and I would definitely send one down to Brazil, and you could have one. I will get with you, and I've bought a few of these bodies, but I'm making a new photo story in 2025 with Combat Joe. So I have went down a Combat Joe wormhole, and I've bought several of these that I probably don't need, but I found a really good deal on them, so I bought them. And one other thing I'll show you is I bought some new camouflage for this figure too, to have my seamstress, my mom, who does all my sewing. my 79-year-old mom does all my sewing. I'll show this to you too. I got a couple camos.
Well, that's a good mom. You better give her a good Mother's Day present.
I do every year.
A gift.
Oh, here we go. Hold on a second. Wrong one. Let me go ahead and show you this camo here, guys. So this is a pattern I got.
Oh, what's really good? Is it official?
No, I will tell you about this here in a second. And let me share the other one real quick, and we'll talk about them both. This is one I really, really liked.
Wow, this is quite unusual.
It is. It is a zebra print in like a military green. So I like to sit on this place here in the States called Spoonflower. And I like to look at camouflage, and I like to find all these artists who do really artsy looking camouflage, like just for like fashion projects, which is what these both are. They're both fashion camouflage that some girl had made. And I messaged her. I think she's in Argentina. I messaged her and I said, hey, could you shrink these down to 1/6 scale for me? And she's like, yeah, no problem. And then that's what I usually do. I try to find unique camouflage, and then I'll make camouflage for the photo stories. I'll make outfits for my photo stories is what I usually do. And so that's the two new camouflages that I got. I wanted to show those to you because I know you appreciate the art stuff behind a lot of that. But
it's really, do you know, and that's crazy how creativity works.
Yep.
And I was watching your camouflages, and inside my mind, oh my God, have you ever thought of making any space camouflage? Like,
no,
but
that would be wild
look
too.
like?
What would space camouflage look like? Well, you'd have to go to a different planet, right? But
yeah,
well, you'd have to watch something like what's that Avatar movie where they go to that planet Pandora, whatever, all the jungle stuff. They probably had a wild camouflage for that. But
yeah, play with the colors and the patterns.
I spend a lot of time in my customs going through Spoonflower and trying to find unique camouflages and then having stuff made that nobody else has. So I'll have those. They become one of a kind things. Now, this stuff here, I did buy a few different fat quarters of this. I might make a custom figure to sell at some point this coming year. But I really enjoyed doing the camouflage stuff because I just like to have things that are different from everybody else. Kind of like you, like all your customs.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if anybody out there has really checked out all Felipe's customs on Facebook or Instagram, but you have a ton of unique figures, like just a ton. And then, is your YouTube channel still up and going?
Yes, it's still working.
So you got a lot of, like, all you guys out there who are getting into customization, definitely get on Felipe's channel and check out his videos because you've done them both. You've done them in English and Portuguese.
Yes.
Yeah. So you've done English and Portuguese, and they're extremely tutorial. Like, you can watch step by step on how to do a lot of things if you're wanting to get into customs. And yeah, I love your channel. You haven't done videos for a while, have you?
Oh no, sadly no.
It's a lot of work, isn't it?
It's a lot of work, and also I did not find any project that it would be new enough. And nowadays with our currency, it's losing value too fast, and I can't buy the supplies in the United States anymore. It becomes it became like when I was making the videos, it costs today twice, 3 times what used to.
Wow.
So for us, so it's kind of hard, and it's hard to me to get materials. I wish I could take orders in here in Brazil and make videos of the orders. And what's good about the videos is that I don't hide any technique. I show everything. I'm not afraid to, this I won't reveal. No. It's all there.
You show it all. Do you think you would do a video on Mechanus, like how you developed him, and go through, like, show some, I don't know if you have like sketchbooks, or do like a video on like all about Mechanus? Do you think that was something you might do too, to kind of help when you launch the figure?
Oh, I don't know. I could do that. You know, I want to make a video like making poses and playing and assembling it. I think it would be cool. And I would like to make a video uh, of an adventure
Yeah.
like yours, perhaps.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
not
Well,
as
yeah.
good, not as good at first, but like yours. You know.
Speaking of that is a great segue. Since we're on here tonight, when we're doing this very special live stream, I have a photo story coming up on Christmas Eve. It features some items from you.
Wow.
There's Loucotoys items. Your stuff's in a lot of my photo stories. I don't know if you've noticed, but
Yes.
it's in every one of my Super Joe stories. And then I also have some stuff from Grunga Toys. And for everybody out there watching tonight, I'm going to give you guys a real quick special sneak peek of the Man from Venus. So let's check it out.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I actually I filmed it probably about 2 months ago, probably on a Friday when my son was at school. I went down to a state park and started doing some stuff, and I put it together pretty quick. And I think you'll really enjoy it. So,
Oh, I miss that a lot. You know, the world became too real for me. I'm
yeah.
working too much and not having fun at all.
Well, you said you got a Christmas party tomorrow night. You said,
Yes.
Yep. I hope you have fun there.
Yeah. It's a work party.
Yep.
But you know, that's the grown up world. I have to live it.
I do too. I'm just lucky that my job will allow me to have this big old beard.
Oh no, I have to look, you know, trustworthy.
You do. You're a good looking man. So you should always keep that look. For 51 years old, you look great. Well, Felipe, we'll wrap this thing up. I want you, before we go, I want you to tell everybody again about Mechanus, where we can find him. Just give everybody a rundown about him again, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
Okay. So listen up, everyone. Grunga Toys and Gaji Gaji, which is his store, are the ones selling Mechanus exclusively. So you can only find with him, or perhaps if another company like Cotswold wants to bring it to United States. We are making only 75 copies. It's very limited. And after that, it will change colors and it will change accessories. And the figure comes with everything but the body, you know, head, armor, boots, suit, bracelets, gun. It's everything you're seeing here, complete. You know, it's plug and play. It's not very complicated to, here's the gun. So it's only 75. It's a beautiful figure. And I must say, it's very fun to, it has all these different textures. And it's really fun to grab and play and make poses. I'm sure you all will enjoy this guy on your shelves and on your backyard place.
I love it, man. Felipe, it's been fun. Stick around. I'll shoot the shit with you after this is over. Thanks everybody who tuned in tonight. I really appreciate it. I know Felipe does as well. And Merry Christmas, guys. Christmas is just less than a week away, I think. And I hope everybody's doing great out there. Stay safe. And in the meantime, guys, keep living the adventure and cheers.
Merry Christmas.